that is not the future that I project onto myself anymore. And I think that that is very important more than anything. My first memory of it being mentioned at all was without the title and more just the symptoms. And it was when I was just entering in high school. The correlation I had with it, or how I explained it to other people, he has a terminal illness, and we know that it'll kill him one day. We just don't know when. As it started affecting my life more, because I think since we were quite young, you tried to manage a bit more us knowing potentially the reality of not necessarily his situation at the time, but what it would mean for him for his future, and then what it would then mean for us for our future, because at that time as well, I didn't know that it was genetic. And it wasn't until later on that I even found out that I want to say 90, if not 100% of the funerals I had ever attended was family members, and they had ultimately passed from this disease. Which I do think was better to find out later on when I was a little bit older, but was definitely a very confronting truth. At that stage, I do think that we, or at least I, out of my siblings, was not necessarily ready for genetic testing, because there was so much unknown that, okay, say I get this test, and then what? It was kind of, it didn't really matter at that stage whether I found out then or later on, because there was nothing to show that it would make a difference. Whereas now, I think that, especially with the gene editing being available, it makes it so that it feels a lot more intentional if I were to go and get tested, and it makes it so that I would be more inclined to get tested. Even if it is still in the trial stages, knowing that it is something that has the potential to be so groundbreaking is really motivating. Whereas before something like this, I would still very much be in the stage of not wanting to know because of what I had seen, because it was so long and so very crippling, and like to see the way that he deteriorated and the symptoms that I, even like now reading symptoms of like amyloidosis, there were symptoms that were associated with it that aren't necessarily, stereotypical per se, that I would never want to go through. But I feel very much that now it gives me at least a little bit of a sense of security that if I am positive and it does start to, I become symptomatic, that is not the future that I project onto myself anymore. And I think that that is very important more than anything.